Where are we going now, babe?
Going to go walk the battlefield.
Sounds like a plan. We're gonna walk back there. And back there. See how it is?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that view. We're gonna go check out those buildings back there. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. Battlefield walking trail. Okay, so where's the trail start? That way. Whoa, where the white post, that helps, doesn't it? That's important. Jim's got a map. So where are we now?
Well, there's the farmhouse.
Right.
So we're actually approaching from this side. Well, here's the museum.
Well, 81 is right there. So that would be the other side. So we're on Breckenridge's side.
Right. This is the Confederate side. Except that
It's the museum.
I see. It's on the far. They were on the far side of the farm. So we're going to go to the farm first. The battlefield was in here. So
we're actually walking through the battlefield.
We're going to walk up here between. Once we pass the house, we'll be walking through the Confederate lines into this actual battlefield. The battle occurred in here.
Okay. Yep, there's a bigger map. More maps. All the maps. That's where we're walking to. We'll see you when we get there. So what we got here, my love?
Well, this marker indicates that there was 3 Union regiments about 600 yards from here, probably on this hill to the right, where they can overlook this lower part. They would be in a position to be able to swing artillery fire into this area around this house as the Confederate troops were advancing on this white building over here, which is the farmhouse that was occupied by the Bushong group. BMI, as they advanced to the left and the right, with the front and the back of that house. Way to our right over here, close to where 81 is, there's a piece of Confederate artillery. As the Confederates moved forward, they moved their artillery pieces up so that they would be able to have a clear view to fire into the area that was being held by the Union to the west, to the south of the house.
Onward. So you said,
as the Confederates moved forward, the Confederate lines were actually to the far side of this White House. But artillery is normally kept slightly to the rear for several reasons. One, for range, and the other is to try to protect it from advancing forces in the other direction so the artillery doesn't get captured. It's down here on a very knoll. The Union forces occupied this ridge. So they were actually firing into this valley. Somehow, none of the shells landed on this house or did any damage to the house, or very little damage to the property. And the famous field of shoes is actually between this house and that ridge.
The field of lost shoes, right?
Field of lost shoes.
And the cannon is back there.
There's a piece of Confederate artillery that was firing back, trying to give cover to the advancing infantry.
Which is back there by that whiteboard there. Right next to the whiteboard there in the distance.
So we'll try to move forward in that line of advance and see what we can see.
Yeah, these are the house and the outbuildings. That weren't damaged. This is Bushong's farm, right?
This is Bushong's farm. The Bushongs were farmers who were for wheelwrights, made wheels for wagons, turned it into a pretty successful business. The family really would never be the same after the battle here. Turned their house into a hospital.
As they did with many houses during the war.
The family hid in the basement of the house during the battle.
And the house is open. can't see anything in there. It's too dark.
The wheelwright shop. You can see through this side over here, around the corner.
Oh, okay. This is the wheel shop. Ah.
This wheelwright house was constructed in 1974 on the site of the original structure, which was built in the 1830s. The wheelwright house was used to make wagon wheels, farm wagons, and as a general-purpose carpentry shop. The name wheelwright comes from the word wright, meaning mechanical work or handicraftsman, and the type of work being performed. In this case, the making of wheels. A housewright was a person skilled in building and repairing houses, and the wheelwright built and repaired wheels and wheeled vehicles. Wagon wheels were hard to construct, and only a master wheelwright could do it. The center of the wheel is called the hub, from which 12 to 16 spokes radiated to the wooden rim. The iron strip that covers the rim and holds the wheel together is called a tire. A wooden instrument called a traveler was used to measure the length of the tire, which was then cut and welded together in the blacksmith's forge. In order to expand the tire, a ring of wire was built on the ground, and the tire placed in it. When the tire was heated to a dull red, the wheelwright placed it on the rim. Even expanded, the tire had to be pounded with hammers to secure it in place. The wheel was then placed in the shoeing hole, which was filled with water. A great hissing and creaking resulted as the tire contracted violently and the wheel tightened its joints. The tools, you see, were used on the farm or in the woods, as well as in the blacksmith and the carpentry shops. Beginning on your left, you find a carpenter horse, 2 plows, a cross-cut saw, and the famous pit saw used to saw boards. Near the workbench, you see an anvil, and on the bench, tools to shape spokes. At the end of the bench is a post vise. On the walls and on the center table are many more tools than would be found in a shop of this nature. This is more of a museum display. On the left wall, you see many garden digging tools. On the end wall are rows of adzes and gouges for shaping wood. In the top center are augers. Under them are drawing knives and spoke shaves, then chisels and calipers below. Next comes a row of hammers, then cutting and broad axes. Along the right wall you find a cant hook and other logging tools, also mallets and froes. On the workbench on your right are tools to work on spokes for a wheel. Above are 2 grain cradles, one hanging on the rafters and one on the right wall in the corner. Also a grain rake. Note also 2 old wagon jacks, a straw knife, and a corn chopping box. Between you and the center table is an old boring machine used in mortise and tenon work. On the center table are mostly planes, and attached to the front are gauges, squares, levels, and a wooden traveler.
Yeah, right. So there, now you know what a wheelwright house is. Off to the house. What is...
You thought that you were real right? You're wrong.
Those of you who thought you were real right, you were wrong. Blah, blah, blah. So what is this? Now, of course, the highway wasn't here in those days. So You kind of have to put into your mind how quiet it would have been around here. Back in the 1860s. Play message, it says.
No, this is
the blacksmith.
Blacksmith's forge. Here, wagon. Many early farms had small forges for repairing or creating iron. The Bushong shop was the most elaborate. Harrison made excellent use of both the Simpson shop and the Bushong fuel gas. He had an inventive mind and built for his own use a horsepower machine for separating wheat. A familiar tool in every blacksmith shop is the blacksmith's workbench known as the anvil. A great many sizes and shapes of anvils were developed throughout the centuries. The most common during the 18th century was the 50-pound anvil, offering a base of steel. The clarity of its ring when struck was the test of its quality. The front of the anvil, called the horn, was used in working curved and rounded parts. This was always to the left of the right-handed smith. The tool used the most was the blacksmith's hammer. The hand hammer weighed about 2 pounds and had a handle 16 inches long. The striking face of the hammer was slightly convex, with edges rounded so as not to leave hammer marks. Charcoal was burned in the forge to your right. Beyond the forge is an old leather bellows with a hand pump used for forcing air into the coals to make them white hot. Iron bars were heated in the coals until they became soft and malleable under the blows of the smith's hammer. Around the rim of the forge are the tongs and pincers used to hold the hot metal. On this side of the anvil is the quenching tub for cooling and tempering the metal. Next to it is the tapered band mandrel for forming circular tires to go around the rim of wagon wheels. On the wooden workbench and on the walls are various handmade 19th century tools. At the far end of the bench is a post vise used to hold metal or wood pieces while being worked. Beside the workbench is the smith's horseshoeing kit, with horseshoes and tools for one of the most important functions of the blacksmith shop, the shoeing of horses. The original Bushong blacksmith shop was built in the late 1830s when Harrison was a young man. The shop survived until the early part of the 20th century. In 1972, the present shop was constructed in the same familiar design as the Bushong shop. Old photographs were used to create the shop and preserve as much detail as possible of the original structure.
What'd you say, my love?
I said, under the spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy smithed.
Smithy Smythe.
So there,
He smithied.
he smithed.
And then he smithy and smythe some more. Let's go to the house.
Okay, let's go.
I feel like you can drive along here.
You can, but I don't know where we're going.
What does this sign say? It's about the Bushong farm. Yes. Alright, onto the house. The housing we will go. bedroom. Another bedroom. What's over there?
Closed.
Closed. We can't go up another level.
No. No other levels available.
I can't go up there. Okay. Now they did sell this house to a family in the 1940s who in turn sold it to a guy who had graduated from VMI in 1911. So who in turn sold it to the state for historic purposes. So down we go.
The highway to more of the battlefield. But there's just a monument over there to a Union company, Pennsylvania. And then 7 starts that field, the Field of Lost Shoes. So we're here, we'll continue through behind the back of the building and then we'll go through this field.
Is that the field that we went?
This is the field behind us.
Oh. And down the stairs we go. It's an outhouse. So this would be the backyard, so to speak.
Outside oven for making bread and that sort of thing. Fire would be built in a hole underneath, and then the cookers would go through that steel door or iron door. Right. I'm assuming this little building over here may have been either storage or slave quarters.
It's warm in there.
It looks like it's a spinning room. There's spinning wheels and such in the back here.
Oh, yes. All of the spinning wheels. You're an excellent tour guide.
I'm just old.
Bathrooms.
This is a cold house. Just space of the replicas that they put in here. There might have been a spring that fed this and keep it cold, but you could actually, it's actually about 5 or 10 degrees colder in here than it is outside in the sun. Because there was no electricity, and the idea of cutting ice and bringing it south was kind of new. So they would build these very thick walled places to try to keep things as cold as they could to keep it from spoiling.
There's a woodshed over here.
Summer kitchen.
A summer kitchen. Okay.
Yeah. When it would get hot, they would cook out here, so not to heat up the house any more than necessary.
And then this is the woodshed where they got the wood. Yeah, right. So the field of lost shoes
Is just beyond this fence up here. This is the first place that the Confederate troops really started to come under fire from that ridge line up there. Some of the troops, including some of the VFI cadets, stood on that fence, or replica thereof, so that they could see down into that valley as they were advancing upon Union positions. Several of them found out to be a fatal mistake. As they advanced past that fence line, the field down below had been freshly plowed and ready for summer wheat.
and it had rained.
A lot. It turned it into a swampy, muddy mess. As the infantry, including the VMI cadets, advanced, they started to come into range of Union musket and rifle fire. We're coming down off of the military ridge, which is just below the regular ridge of a embankment like that. And that's where many fell. Walking on a battlefield, no matter where it is or who it is a somber process. People died underneath where we're standing. They died for causes that they believed were right, whether or not the other side believed that they were right. And I guess that's why we continue to shoot at each other as human beings. Maybe we'll get smart one day.
And this is the field of lost shoes. And all the mud and uck from the rains from the day before when they were having the battle and running into each other's lines. A lot of them lost their shoes. Literally. Hence the field of lost shoes. We hope you enjoyed this tour of the Virginia Museum of the Civil War, or the Civil War Museum of Virginia, and the Bushong Family Farm Tour.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.